What's up, all you good fellow fly guys? You know who it is. The Cat in the Hat, your resident fly guy, your chief architect, Michelangelo of StarArchitects.com, here to help you redesign your frame of mind when it comes to this lifestyle and thing. Today is Taylor Thought Tuesdays, so I'm going to be every Tuesday providing you with some food for thought, something for you to try on, see how it fits you. If it fits you, then wear it and make sure that you make the necessary alterations to your attitude, the alterations to your perspective, so that you can begin to promote yourself for the best of yourself. And today we're going to have some lighthearted conversation, but some conversation that still is something that you need to think about. And that is, have you been contrived and convoluted in your communication about love? And the reason we're having this conversation is, of course, because Valentine's Day is upon us. We are preparing to try to buy people's love, whether we realize it or not, or whether we acknowledge it or not. We're stepping out and we're saying, I'm going to show this act of love based on whatever society's view of love is. And I said that because yesterday I watched a cool video by some guys who are some stylistic guys, and they were saying, here's 4 moves or 5 moves that every guy should get. Now, somewhere in the middle of that tip or those moves that the guy should make, they were promoting a product, right? The video was 5 minutes. I think they spent 2 minutes promoting the product, which is nothing wrong with that. But it does speak to the fact that, generally speaking, most people are going to have an agenda. Hell, I'm not gonna lie to you. When I'm on here and we're having these conversations, I'm giving you a lot of free information, a lot of game, and a lot of perspective, with the intention of building your trust, building the honesty. I'm telling you what I'm doing so that you know that everybody has a motivation, everybody has an intention, so that when I start putting out products, you feel confident in making those investments, knowing that based on the free game that I've given you, the free information that I've given you, that something else will benefit you if you're paying for it. So it was no shade or a slight to them, but what ended up happening was they were talking about things that all men should do for their women. So one of them was like making sure you get her flowers. The second thing was making dinner reservations. The third one was you going and pampering her. The fourth one was like uh, was being thoughtful, I guess, and then the fifth one was, I don't know, some bullshit. And again, no shade to these dudes, but it was just like, at that point, four could have been all of those, right? And the real concept should have been paying attention to who she is. Like on my YouTube page, we did the 5 love languages, and this is why I'm not the guy who's going to be telling you this is what every guy should do. This is how every guy should move. I am a dude who likes wearing suits, so primarily we're going to talk about suits, shirts, ties, dress shoes or casual shoes. But my casual conversation is for the guy who's not a t-shirt and jeans dude on the weekend. It's for the guy who, in the wintertime wants to throw on a beautiful cashmere shawl collar cardigan with the ascot, a button-down collar shirt, and, some khakis or some cords, or maybe even some tweeds. I got a few tweed pants, don't judge me, and, some chucker boots. So when it comes to the space of romance, especially, romance is a dance, and it's a dance that you have to know, where you have to know your partner's movements. And so for those guys, one of the first things that I would recommend, if you're going to pay attention to, or if you're going to be a good lover on Valentine's Day, is first to not be a lover on Valentine's Day. Be a lover 365 days. Figure out what your lady enjoys, and don't do it frequently, because then it no longer becomes a gift, it becomes an expectation. But pay attention to how she enjoys doing things, and figure out new ways to put a smile on her face. So again, on our last week's YouTube, and if you haven't checked that out, make sure that you check that out. You can check that out here. What we talked about was how to figure out your lover's love language, and also how to figure out your own love language. So if you're watching that, then you can pay attention to how all those different dynamics are going to come into play when you are interacting with them. And so don't be complacent and contrive in how you communicate your love to your lover. So instead of you buying her flowers for Valentine's Day, why don't you pay attention to what she likes? So instead of, she may hate flowers, and if you know her, you know that she hates flowers, but she accepts them every year because, she appreciates and she loves you. So she's like, oh, thanks. Like the office goes crazy. You sent them to the office. You did all these grand gestures, but she doesn't even like the shit. But she does love fruit. So instead of giving her a fruit, I mean a flower or a bouquet, give her some fruit. Give her an edible arrangement. I guarantee you, she's gonna be smitten, despite whether her friends are like, "Oh my God, I got 100, 100 roses." Shoot, I got this nice little edible arrangement. She's gonna do her little happy dance. When it comes to dinner, she may appreciate more the act of service of you cooking dinner than you making dinner. And they did make mention of, making her dinner. But if you can't make her dinner, it doesn't have to be any grand gesture. I know so many people who spend all this money on Valentine's Day. Yes, they hike up prices. Yes, they create these packages because restaurants, whether you realize it or not, are in a space of efficiency. So they would rather say, this is what we're cooking, this is what we're making, and this is the only thing that we're going to serve. You can get these three different types of items, and you can go purchase those. Well, at the end of the day, you none of them may be appealing to you or her. And a friend of mine, he was like, "Yo, you know what I do? We'll go to dinner after Valentine's Day. Number one, we have more selection and there's usually better service. So what I would recommend doing is switching the game up and doing breakfast in bed, or doing lunch, a wonderful lunch where you call her boss and let her know, let the boss know, hey, my lady's gonna be back from lunch a little bit late. I just wanted to take her to do this, and this. This is how long it's gonna take, and making sure that it's square with her boss. But then taking her to do something like that. She may not be much of a food person, but she really loves dessert. Okay, cool. So then you made dinner, but then you took her out for dessert. When it comes to pampering her, understand what pampering looks like for her. Pampering for her may not be giving her a massage and doing all those things, because quite frankly, you may suck at it. Like, and I don't care how many YouTube videos you watched or how many books you've read about massages, you just don't give good massages. There's so much more to massaging than just your hands. It's your mind, it's your energy, and paying attention to how that person is reacting, and you being very attentive to how that person is. And then also, when it comes to you being thoughtful, thoughtfulness should be a part of the relationship. That should not be something that you're doing once a year. Like, that's, if you're doing that once a year, then you probably got a problem. And you probably need to understand what service actually means. Service is not supplication. You got to understand how this whole dynamic works and how you're going to interact with that person. And the fifth and final thing that I would recommend to for you to get out of that contrived and complacent space when you're communicating your love is to simply be open to the person that you're dealing with. Don't think that that woman is the same woman that you met 2 weeks ago, that's the same woman that you met 2 years ago or 20 years ago. That woman has begun to evolve and has begun to change. And so we have to be attentive and open to listening to who she is. And if we're willing to do those things, then I guarantee you every day will be Valentine's Day. So I'm going to leave you with that. You can try that on, see how it fits you. And I would love to hear some comments in the comment box of what you have done that is contrived or consistent. And what the response has been, because I could be wrong. Look, I'm a learner too. I could be wrong, but I have, in the conversations that I've had with young ladies, seen that consistency tends to be more of an obligation than the initiation of intimacy or the exchange, and it takes away from the imagination that can come when you are actually infatuated, right, with your lover. And we all do that when we like them, but not so much once we get to, once we're with them and we've obtained them. So I could be wrong, but I would love to hear your thoughts and your communications there. Yo, please share this with your friends. Listen, I claim to be no relationship guru. I am an intimacy coach, and I want people to allow themselves and allow others to see into them so that they can begin to foster the world with their identity, especially as young men. Intimacy is not something that's something that's whimsical or weak or feminine. this is a human thing that we need to begin to do to allow the world to see our identity, and into me see is an allowance to do that. But we do talk about this in the relationship space, so please share this with your friends. I hope it feeds you. I hope it gives you some food for thought. If you try it on and it fits you, make sure that you tailor it for your thoughts, for your timeline, and for your life. Until next, actually until tomorrow, make sure that you don't ever forget that dress is nothing more than the expression of, sorry, see, I messed it up. See, we can't edit anything. We're gonna try that again. Dress is nothing more than the expression of a man's state of mind. So you should always dress to express. I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.